Have you ever just sat there and thought, I see all of these people and they work so much harder than me. I just do not understand how they physically work so hard. I must be a lazy person. If I wasn't so lazy, I would be so successful. Well, what if I told you that you're probably not lazy? Your brain is just addicted. Most of us right now are suffering from a dopamine addiction. We just cannot get enough dopamine, and we're getting our dopamine from our devices. The definition of an addiction is the inability to control an impulsive desire for a substance or a behavior, even when it causes harm. If I said to you right now, you can't go on social media, you can't play video games, and you can't watch Netflix, how long do you reckon you would last before you crumbled, before you broke? I bet 99% of you could not last 24 hours without breaking. Most heroin addicts could last 24 hours without heroin, but you can't last 24 hours without the need to consume some form of online entertainment, whether that's scrolling social media, whether that's playing video games, whether that's watching Netflix, binge watching some shows, anything like this. You cannot last more than 24 hours without these behaviors. So you got to ask yourself, is this normal? Is this natural? Or maybe do I have an addiction? Put your phone next to you right now. Just put your phone next to you, put it upright so that you can see everything going on, and see how long it takes you before you grab the phone and you start using it. Then you'll see what an addiction really is. We have developed such a strong desire, such a strong need for immediate stimulation, immediate quick gratification, that we cannot do anything. We have become so ineffective as humans because we can't go days, we can't go hours or even minutes without some sort of entertainment, some sort of stimulus, some way to feel good and get ourselves that dopamine, that quick instant gratification. We are addicted. We are junkies. You wonder why you're lazy, but if you sit down to do a task, you have to concentrate on something for an hour, God forbid a few hours at a time. Within a few minutes, your brain is just pulling you away from what you're currently doing to try to get you to engage in some sort of instant gratification, some sort of quick stimulus, because you cannot sit there with your own thoughts. You cannot sit there and focus on an individual task for long periods of time. And you wonder why you think you're lazy. The reality is you're not lazy at all. You're just addicted. The way we're currently using our devices, what we're doing is we're training our brains to constantly gravitate towards instant gratification. Think about the things that we're doing on our devices. When we're on social media and scrolling, when we're playing video games, when we're binge watching TV shows, all that we're really doing is sacrificing this period of time, sacrificing right now for feeling good in the moment. We're sacrificing everything. We know that all that we're really doing is sitting down and consuming something. We're sacrificing right now to get a good feeling. But we're not doing this, once or twice a week. We're doing this once or twice an hour. We're doing this constantly. And what happens when we're consuming this information, when we're consuming this entertainment, is we're flooding our brains with dopamine. We're feeling incredibly good for doing these behaviors. Problem is, these behaviors are in no way moving you towards your goals. How many of you can really say that when I'm scrolling social media, I'm moving towards my goals? When I'm binge watching Netflix, I'm moving towards my goals. When I'm gaming, I'm moving towards my goals. I bet you none of you can say that, but you're feeling really good for doing these behaviors that are not moving you towards your goals. So when you sit down to do work, when you sit down to do a task that you're supposed to do, you can't get it done because your brain constantly wants you to be doing these instant gratification behaviors, because you know that if you sit down to do a task, not only is this going to be quite difficult, but it's not going to feel that good. You're not going to feel amazing when you sit down and do work. Whereas if I sit down and I scroll social media, not only is it really easy, especially compared to doing work, but it also feels really damn good. And all you're doing is training your brain to associate good feelings with easy instant gratification behaviors, and feeling hard, feeling confused, feeling in a bit of pain, feeling bad with doing the things that are moving you towards your goals. Your brain is basically going, moving towards my goals, bad, instant gratification, good. And it's constantly making that comparison and making it really hard for you to concentrate and focus. obviously why you feel like you're a lazy person, because you don't want to do any work. Every time we make this trade, every time we make the trade to receive that instant gratification, receive that bit of stimulus, we're reinforcing the behavior to our brain that this is what we should be doing. This feels good, this feels fun. And on the other side, we're reinforcing to our brain that we shouldn't be working towards our goals, we shouldn't be doing challenging things because this is hard, this doesn't feel as good. Let's do the easy and fun thing. We're training our brain for this instant gratification. Now, what happens if we continue to receive this instant gratification? What happens if we continue to scroll? What happens if we continue to play video games? What happens if we continue to binge watch TV and receive all of this instant gratification all the time? Well, as we know, when we do these behaviors, we're flooding our brain with a huge amount of dopamine. But our brain knows we need to regulate. We need to be at equilibrium. We need to be at a steady level all the time of dopamine. So if we're constantly elevating our levels far above what they should be, our brain, as it always does, has to regulate, has to bring everything down to reality. So how is it going to do that? Well, it has to reduce the amount of dopamine you receive for absolutely everything. So this means that the video games that you were playing, where they used to feel amazing, they now just feel kind of normal. Have you ever noticed that? Have you ever noticed that the first time you played a game, it felt really good and now it just doesn't quite hit the same? Same thing with social media. Really just doesn't feel as good anymore. Same with watching TV shows, binge watching. It just feels kind of normal now. Think about smokers. Think about people who are smoking cigarettes. They probably used to really like smoking, but now they're just scratching an itch. And you probably look at those people and think, why do you do that? You're not even feeling good for doing this. You're just kind of normal. Like you're just scratching an itch right now. What's the point of doing that? But you're doing the exact same thing when you're receiving this online entertainment, when you're receiving this instant gratification. The problem is your brain doesn't just reduce the amount of dopamine you're receiving from the instant gratification. It doesn't just reduce the amount of dopamine you're receiving from the video games, from the Netflix, from the scrolling. It reduces the amount of dopamine that you're receiving for absolutely everything. So this means that your workouts are less enjoyable. This means the work you do is less enjoyable. This means that going for a walk is less enjoyable. Being around your friends, it's all less enjoyable. And what happens if something's less enjoyable? Well, it's more difficult to do. You're less likely to do it. So if you sit down and you say, all right, I'm going to work for now. We're going to get some work done. Let's do this. You sit down and you're like, all right, here we go. We're going to do some work. Not only is your brain, like the addict it's become, constantly wanting to pull you away to some sort of instant gratification. Well, what's happening on your phone? Maybe there's some notifications. Maybe something is happening in the group chats. Or what about the video games? Well, what about the Netflix? Well, what's happening on YouTube? Your brain is constantly pulling you away, but also you're receiving a lot less dopamine from the work you're doing. So you don't really like the work. In fact, you kind of despise the work you're doing. It's not only do you hate the work you're doing, but your brain is trying to pull you away from the work you're doing. Of course you can't get work done. Of course you can't get anything done. You wonder why you think you're lazy. You wonder why you think that there's so many people that can get all of this work done, but I can't seem to be able to do anything. Well, of course that's the case, because you've created the worst possible mental environment to get anything done, to move towards any of your goals. And it's not just the work you're doing. If you're sitting there and going, all right, I want to work out today. Let me get that workout done. Your brain is going, no way. I hate working out. Sit on your ass and play some video games. Scroll your phone. You know, there's good Netflix. There's a really good Netflix show that just came out. Watch that. Do not work out, because not only do we not like doing that, but that's really hard. Do easy things that feel really good. So you've created the mental environment of an addict where you're just trying to scratch itches at this point. Nothing feels particularly good, and you're in no way moving you towards your goals. So you have this little existential crisis going on where you become a lazy person and all these people are making this great progress that you're not able to make. This is a horrible place to be. So what can we do about this? How can I get rid of this dopamine addiction? How can I remove the instant gratification from my life? How can I receive more dopamine from the work I'm doing so I actually start to enjoy doing it? We can do this through the process of dopamine rewiring. Dopamine rewiring is fundamentally removing online entertainment from your life. When you remove the Netflix, when you remove the social media scrolling, when you remove the video games, what you've done is you've removed the instant gratification from your life. When you remove the instant gratification from your life, your brain is no longer wanting to do those things. It's no longer comparing the work you're doing, comparing the exercise with this easy, cheap activity you're doing. On top of that, you're not receiving huge spikes of dopamine all the time, so your brain just how it regulated before has to bring up your dopamine for absolutely everything. So this makes the work you do more enjoyable. This makes the exercise you do more enjoyable. This makes moving towards your goals a more enjoyable thing to do. And guess what's going to happen? Over time, you're going to start to realize, damn, I wasn't a lazy person. In fact, I'm a very productive person. You weren't a productive person in the first place. You weren't a lazy person in the first place. You're a normal person. You just now have a brain that functions how it should be. A brain that functions optimally to achieve goals, to get things done, to move forward in your life, rather than a brain that's constantly addicted to instant gratification. And I know this because when I was 17 years old, I was diagnosed with ADHD. I called myself that lazy person. I said, I can't get work done, there must be something wrong with my brain. And the doctors all agreed with me. They said, okay, here's medication, you should take this because your brain doesn't work normally. For the last 11 months, in fact, over 11 months, I've lived without online entertainment completely. I haven't even thought about the term procrastination once. I don't struggle with laziness. I'm able to get a lot done, and this all happened from removing the online entertainment. It's allowed my brain to reorient itself towards moving towards goals, and it has completely reframed what I think is possible, the potential that I think that I have. Coming into this year, I hadn't run more than 10Ks in my entire life. In the last 4 months, I've run 4 marathons. I'm on track to become fluent in Spanish in just 6 months. And I'm just trying to stack more and more and more of these goals because I've realized, actually, I'm not a lazy person. There's nothing wrong with my brain. I just had a poor environment. I was just addicted to dopamine. I was just addicted to these cheap behaviors, this instant gratification. And now that I've created an environment that's conducive to actually moving towards goals, actually being a productive person, it's completely changed how I see life and how I see the potential for what I can possibly do. Now, if you guys want to learn more about dopamine rewiring, you can join my free community. When you join, we'll set you up with a custom dopamine rewiring roadmap based on your goals and your requirements. We'll run you through that whole thing. It's completely free. If you're interested in doing that, I'll leave a link in the description below. If you found this interesting, if this maybe changes your perspective on your brain and what is possible for your life, then that's great. There's more videos like this on my channel. There's probably a few around here. So I will see you in one of those.